For the swings, highs, lows indicator, I'm using a number of swings of 3. And generally speaking, when you reduce the number of swings, you get a faster response time on the higher highs and the lower lows swing points there. And I'm just going to use the standard swing strength of 7, right? And we use the calculation mode of standard. So everything's going to be default except the number of swings we knock it down 1, down to 3. I did enable the tightest plots here so that we can see the higher lows and lower highs, right? Just kind of quickly here, the widest plots, those are going to be the highest highs and lowest lows. The tightest are going to be the higher lows and lower highs. So basically the in-between swing points, right? So the outer or the most wider swing points, are the higher highs and the lower lows. And the in-between swing points are what are the tightest plots there. All right. So, and what we're looking for is, let this reload again. What we're looking for is for a second higher high. Although actually I probably have to go way back here. Yeah, here we go. So starting down here, here's a new higher high, and this would be the second one. Right, so there's our second higher high. So this would be a higher low, and this would be a second higher low. Right there. So that's what we're trying to identify there. All right. So let me get started on the logic board here. So within BloodHound, I'm on the logic tab, and I have a new logic board. And so we're looking for a second higher high, right? And a second higher low. And of course, we're going to get the vice versa, the opposite, right? So this will also find us the second lower low and second lower high as well. So to find a second higher high, well, if we look at the plots, right, let's see here. Yeah, so we're looking, so remember the hash line is the higher high. The dot is the lower high. Yeah, the dot is the lower high. So if you notice, right, this high is slightly higher than this high. And so this high, well, actually this high is also lower than the previous high. So this high starts off as a lower high, but then after we get a higher low, it then becomes a higher high. So we can see we have some dots in here, and then the dots change to a hash. So eventually this does become a higher high after a lower low is after a higher low is detected. So what we want to see is we want to go from hash line to a higher hash line. So over here, let's see, it's kind of hard to see. Man, it's hard to see when those dots and hashes are on top of each other. But there we go. So this hash line, right, so the hash line steps down, but we're looking for the hash line to step up. So this is what we're looking for, from hash line to step up to hash line. Or actually, it's more precisely, right, that's what we're looking for. Is we're looking for our hash line to step upwards. It might be easier to visualize if I take the widest plot, if I change it from a hash to a square plot. There, let's take a look at that. Right, so there we go. Yeah, the square plot's a lot easier to visualize. So we can see, right, that the highest high plot, when it steps up, then we know that a new higher high has been made. So that's what we're looking for, right, is that stepping up. So yeah, let me put this back. We'll put that back to the hash. And then at the same regard, we are also looking for the dots to step up. So the red dots here, are representing swing lows, and the dots specifically the dots are identifying higher lows, right? So again, the hash line is representing lower lows, and the dots are representing higher lows. So we're looking for the dots to step up as well. So here, right, so this higher low, the dot stepped down because we actually had a lower low. So we don't want the dots to step down. We're looking for the dots to step up. And that's how we know we're getting our second higher low. So those are the physical conditions that we're looking for on the chart with the indicator. So let's go back to our BloodHound, and we're going to need a bunch of comparisons, right? So the comparison solver, simply put, it's identifying whether something is higher or lower than something else, right? So we're looking for the hashes and the dots to move higher, or move lower. If we're looking for lower lows and lower highs. So let's connect this in here. So let's name this here. So this is going to be looking for the second higher high, right? Yeah, the second higher high or the second lower low at the same time. So input A, well, that's going to be our swing indicator. So let's plug that in there. And so for a long, we're using the widest tops. So the widest tops, that's the highest highs. And the widest bottoms, that's the lowest lows. So we'll select those. And remember to adjust the settings. So we knocked our number of swings down to 3. So let's adjust that. So there. So now we have our swing highs and lows indicator set up, and we're going to set that up again for input B. It's going to be the swing indicator again. So this time it's just going to fly through it a little quicker. So we're setting it up exactly the same, but this time input B, we're going to set a displacement to 1. And the reason why is because input A, that is going to be the current bar, and input B, that's going to be 1 bar back, right? That's going to be the previous bar. Because if you look at my arrows, right, I'm going from the previous bar and then pointing forward to the current bar, right? So when we're looking for this stepping up, we have to look at the previous bar and then compare that to the current bar. So on both, right, we're looking at the previous bar and comparing it to the current bar to see if it's stepping up or stepping down. So this displacement is what allows us to look 1 bar back, right? So a displacement of 1 is essentially looking 1 bar back. And we're looking for A to be greater than B. There we go. All right, so we want A greater than B, right? So A is the current plot or the current bar, and B is 1 bar back, right? So the current bar here for the highest high is greater or above than the plot of 1 bar back, right? So we don't need to change our outputs. Our outputs are already set up for us correctly, the defaults there. And I must have made a mistake somewhere. Yeah, I'm expecting to see a long signal there. Let's see, I have a short signal there. All right, let's see, where did I make a mistake here? Yeah, there's some kind of mismatch somewhere. I'm just not seeing it. So 3 standard 7. Let me reload the chart. Yeah, all right, there we go. So there's our short signals. So the lowest lows are stepping down, lowest lows are stepping down. There's my longs. Okay, yeah, there we go. I just, some reason, needed to reload my chart. All right, so there we go. There, everything's working as expected now. So we can see, right, that the green hash lines, which are the higher highs, right, we're getting a signal here when those higher highs step higher, right? And so now we need to look at the swing lows stepping up, right? Or those lower lows stepping up. All right. So I already have one solver built that's looking. Oh, there we go. Move that over. So I have one solver, right, that's looking at the widest tops and widest bottoms. So now I need another solver that's looking at the tightest tops and the tightest bottoms, which is the dotted line, right? So I'm going to switch over to the solvers tab, and I can make a copy of that solver, and then reorganize this there. All right, so we're looking for higher lows and lower highs, and so now I go into the indicator, and now I just select. Let's see, which one do I want? Bottoms. Yeah, there we go. So select the correct plots. So I want the tightest bottoms, so in other words, the swing lows, to step higher. So I'm going to use the swing lows here for a long signal. And I'm looking for, and so in the opposite, I'll use the tightest tops, right, which is the swing high points, and I'll be looking for those to step down, generating a short signal. All right, so let's go into input B, and we'll do the same thing. There. All right, so there's our second solver. So let's go back to the logic board and put that other solver on the board. So we're going to go to existing nodes, and there's the second higher lows and lower highs. Put that on the board like so. Okay, so there we go. So there's a long signal right where my arrow's at, right where I expect it. All right. So now we need to combine, right, these two outputs together. So I've got the higher highs stepping higher, and now I have the swing lows, or basically, the swing lows forming a higher low, right? So I got the lows stepping higher, and now I need to combine those two. So let's see here. Yeah, this requires a toggle node. Let's see, it's a toggle node, either a toggle node or a signal extender. I think a toggle node probably a little bit better. All right, so further back here, we can see that, right, price is stepping down. So we have a swing low. That swing low stepped up, and then it stepped down. All right, so as soon as these swing lows start stepping down, yeah, that's when we're getting the short output. And then back here, we had this swing high stepping up. So here we go. So we have some swing lows stepping down, and then right where my arrow's at, that's when the swing high starts stepping up. So let's see. Take the toggle node and let's see here. I think this will do it. I think if I just stick our higher lows and lower highs into a toggle node, like so, yeah, I think that's all that's needed. Let's just see what happens here. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier just to play around instead of trying to think it all through in your head. Just kind of experiment. So, all right, yep. So back here, right, we have lower lows stepping down and lower highs stepping down. We had this short little break in here because, let's see, so we had a lower high and we had a lower high. So what happened? Oh, we had a higher low. That's what happened. Yep. So we had a higher low and then we got a lower low. All right. Yeah. So that's what happened there. So our lows stepped up for a little bit and then the lows stepped back down. And then here, yep, here we have highs stepping up and lows stepping up. Yeah, for quite a while. So let me take a look at that. Yeah, so that looks correct. I think that is, yeah, that is the second higher high, and that would be a second higher low. Yeah. All right, I think we're good. So there you go, John. All right, that was actually a little easier than I thought it was going to be. John says, me too. Yeah. Sometimes surprisingly things can be a little easier than expected. And mainly it's because the swing high low indicator is really doing the vast majority of the work for us. So all we had to do was just detect that high stepping up, and so in order for the high to step up, well, you had to have a previous high point to step up to a new higher high point. And the same thing with the lows, right? You had to have a previous low point stepping up to make a newer higher low. So and then it was just a matter of throwing it into a toggle node and then making sure that both of these toggle nodes are in agreement. Well, all right, so there we have it.